It's Mari McInerney from Croaky at the Vic Health Health Promotion Awards in Melbourne, and we're here with some finalists here. Would you be so kind to introduce yourselves, please?
Yes, I'm Laura Chapman from Carringbush Adult Education.
And I'm Angela Costi from the Victorian Equal Opportunity and Human Rights Commission.
Welcome. Now, tell us about the program. It's called We Stand Together.
Yes, so the We Stand Together project is a community education project, and it provides strategies to community members who are victims or bystanders in attacks that are motivated by racism or religious prejudice.
So let's start with why there was a need for a program like this and where it's centred.
Yeah, so unfortunately we're hearing lots of stories from community members in Yarra, particularly those living on and around the social housing estates, of incidents of racially or religious prejudice motivated attacks. So for example, I had a woman coming to me who had her hijab ripped off and was called a terrorist. Another woman crossing the road, somebody pretended they had a bomb that was exploding. So these sort of incidents have significant impact on the mental health and well-being of individuals and really reflect badly on our community as a whole.
So how did you work out what you needed to do, and how did you go about doing it that involved everybody?
Yeah, I think that we looked at it strategically as well. It was important that we engaged with the community that was impacted by these racist and religious incidences. So we worked solidly with them in terms of co-creating and co-designing a program that really spoke to them. We worked with a particular focus group, and we created something like this. So Laura might want to speak more about this, but I'm really proud of this. This speaks to the community in that they were consulted in terms of the words, the images. The images had to resonate, and we had to specifically also think about key services that were there for them. So we brought in and collaborated with Victoria Police. We brought in and collaborated with Fitzroy Legal Service, and there were a number of service providers.
The Neighbourhood Justice Centre, CoHealth, MyCare,
and the Commission as well. So all of our services in one way or another could support these community facilitators that we in turn trained and educated on key messages to deliver to their communities, and these key messages had to be around the laws, that we have rights. We have rights in this space, and everyone is entitled to stick up and stand up for their rights and know where to go to for support.
And I noticed in the background about the project that you've mentioned here that you dealt with police, and you also, I think, were reaching out to government on this. We know that some of these issues of stigma and discrimination actually come through those very bodies. What are you seeking to do with police and with government, especially as we've just emerged from an election campaign, in which some of these issues were really quite virulent?
It's an excellent question. Sorry, Laura, you want to start that one? Because we're both excited about that question.
Yeah, we're both excited by this question. Well, we're very lucky to have a lot of support from local government. So the City of Yarra has been fantastic, and they were really auspicing the venues and a lot of the activities that we ran. I think it's taking it to the next level of government and the state government and expanding that, because we're one LGA and we've had a lot of success, but really no one lives just and travels just in one LGA. These incidents happen on public transport. They happen in the media. We can see the horrific coverage of African gangs, for example. So I think we really need an approach that's statewide.
The beauty of this project is it's not a one-off 12-month project. It's an ongoing. It's been well over 12 months, and it's going into those high-level places. There are round tables that we've had with certain government departments, which, the Office of Housing, for instance, where we're having these conversations about what could we be doing in this space to activate and motivate those levels of government to start recognising that this is an ongoing issue. Under-reporting is prevalent, we know that. We gather statistics and data, but they're just the tip of the iceberg.
When you talk about the success you've had, how do you mark that? How do you measure it?
Okay, so we engage community facilitators to go out to their own community groups and to deliver these really important messages about what to do in these incidents of attacks. And then what happened was those facilitators were mentored, and they brought statistics and information back to us, and we analysed the responses from the community. So it was really powerful. Unfortunately, these incidents are underreported, but in these safe forums, community members were willing to speak up and speak out about their experiences. And we tested, so what do you do now if you're a victim or if you're a witness? And they were able to then give responses. So I think that's really positive. One of the really important things we did was we had the resources and the pamphlets translated into community languages as well, because I think language can be a real barrier. So the brochures in English had very simple English messages for those with lower levels of literacy, and then we had the community languages as well.
And in that analysis that happened out of those, what were you hearing? What was the report back?
So in terms of some of the success stories, one of the ones, the highlight for me was that, in fact, we heard from a teacher where one of the community facilitators had gone out there and spoken to a whole class of English as an additional language students and imparted the key messages. And we were told that not only was his skills in advocacy really important, but his lived experience was really important. So it differs from someone like myself, for instance, or another person that, you know, works at these various services, going out. When you've got someone who can not only impart these key messages in the right language, but also have that lived experience. And his one was of being physically attacked and how that made him feel. So to have others, because of his African, so to have others in that space hear those sorts of stories coming from him and also being able to share their stories. So we gathered this sort of positive feedback from various stakeholders as well, not only from the community facilitators that we had educated. In terms of also data, what we're seeing at the Commission, that around about that time that we had an increase in race-based and religious-based discrimination coming into our inquiry service, and in fact our complaints increased as well. So I think one of the contributing factors was this project and just being out there, having our visibility out there.
So the point is that it's personal empowerment, telling people what they can do at an individual level, but you're also looking at the systemic issues there too, yeah?
Absolutely.
And I'd like to take you up on that it's also the media is a big agency there. What are you trying to do about that? Because the media played a big role in the African gangs, heightened further here in Victoria. What's your message there, and how are you trying to get media to change on that?
Yeah, well, we're an ongoing project where we have reached out to the media with other forums. We are engaged again with trying to, I suppose, use the knowledge that we've got and imparting it to a wider audience, and that means having those important conversations with, I suppose, with particular media agencies. But again, that's something it's an ongoing thing, and it's a really difficult thing to have in this space.
And I think what was really important with the community engagement side and the community consultations was getting the message across to community members that actually these messages are out in the media, but the majority of the community don't feel that way. We don't feel that way. This is how we believe that we should work together as a community. And it was very empowering, and those community members were saying, well, actually, I do have a voice. I can report this. And we'd say, yes, and you can report it anonymously, and it's your right as a community member to be represented in a way that you feel respected.
Fantastic. Thank you both very much.